Registration will resume tomorrow at Unisa. That's after the university and the Student Representative Council reached an agreement and called off the strike. ENC's Ngobile Madlala has been tracking the story and joins me in studio now. Ngobile, thank you for joining me. Tell me, it's been a number of days now since the strike was called. What was the breaking point that had the students got the students to determine that they could call it off?
Well, I guess I think the most important part that happened was that the Department of Higher Education and Training intervened. It didn't look like it was going to end after the first meeting.
So list the demands for us. What were the students calling for specifically, and how has the department come to the party?
Okay, so the students were calling for, first of all, laptops. So there was a call for having laptops and textbooks. Right. So they get from NSFAS 5,000 Rand, and they felt that they had to choose between getting laptops and getting books. So they didn't want to choose, and what they wanted was to get both laptops and books. However, when they went to negotiations, they found out that they now still have to stay with that 5,000, but it was one of their demands that they wanted, obviously, from Unisa. And then we had the second demand was that there was a higher certificate students. So these were students that were doing some sort of a bridging course.
Okay.
And these students were now not catered for. So they felt that these students needed to be absorbed by Unisa and not have to reapply like any first-time student. So that they got, and Unisa said they will absorb them. But then the problem also was that Unisa had a headcount situation, and Unisa was saying that they obviously can only get 54,434 people that they can accommodate who are first-time people, right? And when they went into negotiations, then they got 25,000 more to add to that 54, which was a breakthrough, obviously, for the students. And then there was an annual fee where they said, Unisa was saying that their annual fee was going to be 6.9%, which now sits at 5.3%. And at that point, the students are still saying that, well, they still reserve the right of fighting for free education. But in overall, there was a problem with communication. There was a breakdown of communication. In fact, we spoke to one of the student leaders, and this is what the student leader had to say.
Part of the challenges have been resolved today, but we still want to make sure that things normalize in the university. The issues relating to qualifications are over a year being known, and they could have been resolved with the agencies that have been resolved now, way before a crisis has emerged. Our challenge with the institution is that some members of management are unwilling to decisively resolve issues with NSRC or student leadership prior to a crisis has emerged. We can't be coming here every time with a march for them to address issues.
So as you can hear from there, obviously the communication was a big factor between...
Tell me, so how long had they been appealing to either to Unisa to provide not just, obviously they've got the NSFAS issue, they get the stipend of 5,000, which they need to buy their school supplies with. They then demanded textbooks as well as coverage for laptops. How then does this get communicated to Unisa as well as NSFAS? Because I understand as far as the laptops are concerned, is it Unisa that has stepped into the breach to provide them? But regarding the textbooks, it's supposed to fall under the ambit of NSFAS. Who has been delegated which responsibilities, and is this a long-term solution?
You see, at the moment, Unisa did say, they specified actually to say that they felt like they were caught up between the students and the NSFAS, because at the moment NSFAS doesn't have a desk at Unisa, but they do now have they've tasked a group of people that will be taking care of that. But Unisa did feel like they were caught in between, because all these problems some of the problems that the students were speaking of, like the textbooks, these were not Unisa related. These were not an institution problem. This, of course, had to be communicated to NSFAS, but the students were speaking to the institution. And in fact, we spoke to one of the Unisa, to the spokesperson, Mr. Ramachal, and this is what he had to say.
One needs to put it in a proper context to say that in that memorandum of demands, there are certain issues that they raised which are within our direct control as the institution that have got nothing to do with an outside body like NSFAS. But other matters that belong to either NSFAS or the department, they should not have been raised with us and used as a basis for the strike, because we don't have the authority to decide on those matters.
All right, so just in finalizing all of this, I just previously asked you what the long-term solution or the fix to that problem is. And in terms of the student representative bodies, how are they resolving to better communicate or speak to the relevant people when there are demands that come up?
Well, the students did say that they were going back to the drawing board, that they were going to have further meetings with the management, of course, to make sure that they're now on the same page, because, I mean, with all the problems that they had, the whole communication was a major issue, as you can see. But now they did say that they will go back on the drawing board. They will speak to the management, and then also the management said that they were now going to get a group of people that will look into their problems, and so that is the point moving forward. But from the 14th, school starts.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. As we see there, the Unisa strike is over and registration resumes tomorrow.